What's happening guys, it's Abhinav from PhoneBunch and this is a full review of the Lenovo Vibe K5 Plus. Let's have a look. Now Lenovo is selling the Vibe K5 Plus in India for about Rs 8500 and with that you are getting a 5-inch Full HD display up front, Snapdragon 616 Hz, which is just a re-christened Snapdragon 615. You have 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of onboard storage, a 2750 mAh battery, 13 and 5 megapixel cameras, and you also have sort of a metallic construction which we'll get into right now with the build and design of the smartphone. On the right you have the volume rocker as well as a power button. Both are sturdy, they do offer good feedback, but yes, they do wobble slightly, at least on our unit. At the top you have the 3.5mm audio jack along with the micro USB data syncing and charging port. At the bottom just the primary microphone, and you can also see the twin speakers at the back with the Dolby branding, which we'll get to in a short while from now. Overall the phone feels good to hold in hand. The camera hump is very minuscule, you can see that it's very flush with the surface. Now the metallic part is just the middle part on that back cover. The top and bottom parts are actually made out of plastic. And if you come inside, you can see that we have 3 separate slots. So you have 2 SIM card slots and 1 micro SD card slot along with a removable 2750 mAh battery. And you can see the metallic frame of the device which is embedded within the plastic. So it makes the device actually feel sturdier and does feel good to hold in hand as well. Due to the rounded sides, it fits in your palms a lot better. Overall, solid construction, it doesn't feel very bulky too. And just to complete this physical overview, I just wanted to talk about the sensors available on the device as well. So you have a gyroscope, you have a magnetic field sensor, you have a proximity sensor, light sensor. So pretty much everything you would require to use VR or compass or any of those useful apps. Now let's come to the front of the device. So you have a notification LED, you have proximity and light sensors along with the 5 megapixel front facing camera. You can see the notification LED glowing green at the moment. It glows in different colors. At the bottom of the display you have capacitive buttons which don't light up. That is a bit annoying. How much does it really cost to add a few LEDs to those capacitive buttons? Anyways, then you have the sharp 5-inch display. It really looks quite superb. Color reproduction is really not that accurate. It's slightly tending towards a warmer side. But apart from that, you have solid viewing angles as you can see, and the touch response is actually pretty good. Moreover, the bezels really aren't that huge, making this device good to hold in one hand. Which now brings me to network and call quality. Now this is somewhere the Vibe K5 Plus didn't struggle at all. The earpiece was loud, it was clear, I didn't have any major issues. Call quality was actually pretty decent as well. You can even record calls right from the calling interface. And the speakerphone again is quite loud. Then you have some additional options available as well, like auto retry if your call doesn't go through, and also you get a vibration when the call gets connected. So it just simply makes things a bit easier. Then you have Wi-Fi hotspot, Bluetooth as well as USB tethering, and all of those do work out quite fine. And due to the presence of a magnetic field sensor, even location or GPS actually did work out quite fine while I was driving. And with that, let's get to the camera. Now this is actually a bit of a sore point for this device. Both the front and the rear cameras aren't really that great. But again, you have to factor in the price. I would still say that the Redmi 2 Prime still has one of the better cameras in this price segment. And even the K3 Note had decent cameras. But this one is a bit of a letdown when it comes to both the cameras. Both the front and the rear cameras actually suffer from a bit of control over exposure. Now at times, yes, the images do turn out quite good, but there is not enough sharpness. They do look quite soft, especially when you go to full resolution, they look a bit distorted as well. You can see these are quite soft and sometimes out of focus. Now one of the reasons is that the shutter speed of the camera is quite slow. Even when you are outdoors in quite a good amount of light, the camera does take a little bit of time to capture images, and if you come to low light or indoor shots, well, there the camera struggles quite a lot. Now HDR mode again just doesn't work out that well because you have issues with exposure control. But yes, color reproduction for the most part is actually quite natural and it is quite decent. Images do appear a bit subdued, but then again you have to factor in the price. The Redmi Note 3 really has a far better camera than the K5 Plus. Even the Samsung Galaxy J3 does slightly better job outdoors. Now with that con or negative point out of the way, there is a real positive here. The audio quality on the device. The rear speaker actually sounds quite loud. You just have to turn on the Dolby Atmos settings. You can choose from a variety of modes. You can also choose a custom mode based on your own equalizer settings and really sounds quite good. There's no rattling at full volume. Moreover, the speaker just sounds a bit fuller than what you get with other smartphones in the price segment. The audio through the headset jack again is quite clear, it is quite loud, and it sounds quite punchy as well. FM radio again is supported here. You have FM recording, and yes, it works in stereo quality. And then you can play 1080p videos flawlessly. There are no issues there, no lag whatsoever. And the 1080p display really does a good job. It is quite sharp. Now that brings me to software, because that is the linchpin that holds everything together. So we have Vibe UI running on top of Android 5.1 Lollipop here. Now we are quite aware of Vibe UI. I have used it quite a number of times on different smartphones. Now this is not the light version that we saw with the K4 Note. It doesn't have an app drawer and it is actually quite sluggish as well. The entire user interface feels a bit sluggish, feels a bit slow. And the RAM management actually here is pretty good. One of the main things that really annoyed me is that you have to long press the recent apps key to get to the app switcher. So that actually bothered me quite a lot, because for multitasking you need to quickly switch between tasks, and that does take a little bit of time. And the animations are a bit stuttery with Vibe UI. But there are some neat additions here, like you have permission control, you have background app management, which you don't get with stock Android. And then there's Theater Max available as well, with which you can watch movies as if you are watching it in a theater. That does actually work out quite well, but mostly I just used it for one day and then I got bored from it. Now getting back to performance, even web browsing was a bit stuttery. You can see that here. Images and text do take a little bit of time to render. But yes, apps do open up quite quickly, and memory management is really one of the strongest suits of the smartphone. You can see I have so many apps open, and if I just go back to Chrome, it is still kept in memory. So overall, good memory management on the device. Now just a word about storage. You have 16 gigs of onboard storage, out of which you will get about 10 odd gigs. App data is not movable to the external SD card. However, you can use USB OTGs to store your files as well. And while we are on performance, I actually switched to the Nova launcher for the prime reason that the default launcher is actually far laggy. Nova launcher, you can see, is actually performing quite well. The animations are slick, so it's the Vibe UI that is keeping this phone at bay. And even in gaming, we saw that most games actually played quite well. There was no major heating on the device. Yes, it did get a bit warm, but after 2 updates that we have got on the device, heating issues have been resolved more or less. The phone doesn't throttle as much, it doesn't heat as much, and gameplay even in Nova 3 was actually quite good. Moreover, the battery life on the device has become better as well, especially the standby time. I was easily able to get more than 4.5 hours of screen on time, even after playing games for quite a while on this device. So this phone lasted me 1 full day for each of the 7 days that I tested it thoroughly as my primary smartphone. Well folks, with that, let's come to a conclusion. The Lenovo Vibe K5 Plus is a pretty decent smartphone at Rs 8500. The good things about it, a 5-inch form factor which feels good to hold in hand, and with that you get good solid build quality, a sharp display, and decent enough performance. In fact, it performs better in gaming than in general use, which is a bit strange. But if you switch the launcher to Nova launcher or any other, even in general use, the phone does perform slightly better. Then you have solid battery life on the device as well, which everybody needs. Another good point is again the pricing of the smartphone. About 8500 bucks, you are getting a pretty decent package. The major con with the device definitely is that the cameras are strictly average. Both the front and rear cameras are no match to the Redmi Note 3, and even the Samsung Galaxy J3, which retails for a bit more, has better cameras and slightly better build as well. Now if you're used to a large screen smartphone, the Redmi Note 3 would still be my pick for the best smartphone under Rs 10k at present. The Lenovo Vibe K5 Plus and the Samsung Galaxy J3 just do a pretty decent job. Well folks, that's it for this review. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let us in the comment section, and as always, have a great day. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button though.